My name is Rosa, and I am a upcoming sophomore at the University of Massachusetts now. I just finished my freshman year. During my freshman year, I actually had the amazing opportunity to be able to participate in a program with my university.
Can I lift it up for you just a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, try that.
Thank you.
Nice and low.
All right. And today I'm excited to share a little bit with you about the program that I did with my university and CEA CAPA. It's another customized program, as Lewis did. However, it's a first year abroad program. So I went my freshman fall to London, and I just kind of want to talk to you guys about why I chose to start my college experience abroad and kind of what that support was like for me and how I think it's, supported my academic, professional, and personal growth along the way. So why did I choose to go abroad freshman year? I think everyone asks me, why did you do that? That is crazy. I would never do that. I don't have the confidence. And honestly, I didn't either. I was just kind of throwing myself out there. So here's me, the day before we left for London at the Mount Ida campus of the University of Massachusetts. I was very, very eager to study abroad, just already coming out from high school. I visited Eastern Europe while I was in high school with a small cohort, and I was really, really excited to get out there, see what else was out there, and I just really wanted to have a new experience abroad. So getting the notification that I would be invited to come to London with UMass, I was like, whoa, this is big. This is something that I know I can do. I did not know that was all in my head, but I figured it out, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I didn't know much about London or the UK at all. I had never traveled there, had never really lived outside of the US, and honestly neither did a lot of my cohorts. So it was a really interesting time, and honestly I'm so grateful because I grew up in really STEM focused and went to a STEM focused high school. I kind of took the same classes as everyone else, and I just really wanted that opportunity to branch out and try something new. So getting to go to London, I think I was so encouraged to learn something new abroad and try something different outside of my comfort zone, and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. All right, so what did it look like for me? So for me, we lived at the State Club in Kentish Town, London. I was really excited because I had, again, never lived with a roommate before. I was super excited to get to know her. We are actually going to be rooming together again this upcoming semester, and I'm super excited just to be with her all over again and relive all of our London days. But yeah, so we had a lot of room at our student housing in London and Kentish Town. I loved it because we could use those social spaces, but also use them as study spaces and eating spaces all together and come together as a group, and we did all of these things together. I can't stress enough how much of a community that there was at the student housing, even with other non-UMass students. We had so many other international students coming to the student center to study. Next was the commute. So the commute was a bit of a challenge for some, but for me, I personally loved it. So it was about 40 to 55 minutes a day up to the Kensington Center, the study center in London. But I enjoyed it because it gave me some time to read, it gave me some time to explore different things while I was just sitting there on the tube. It was also nice because it was a tiny bit quieter than other, transport systems that are out there. So I had a great time. But next, of course, is when we get to the study center. So for me, I thought it was really, really easy and super accessible. The staff was amazing. They were always there to help us. One thing I will say is that we were there during the 2024 election, and with that, being freshmen, it was all of our first time, experience voting, and that was such an interesting time to do it abroad. And I had honestly no idea what I was doing. I was like, I know I have to go mail it, but other than that, what do I do? So they were super helpful and excited, and most of those staff had never been U.S. citizens, so for them to help us, get our ballots printed, walk us through that process was an amazing, amazing experience, and I'm so grateful to them because they didn't have to do that, but they did, and we had an amazing experience voting for our very first time abroad. All right, so adjusting to city life. So I had never lived in a very big city before, so moving to a different country and doing that was kind of crazy, but honestly, my community is what got me through it. As Louise said, community is such a big part of what studying abroad is all about, and I think especially being with another cohort of UMass students and getting to know each other, freshman year, we're just coming in, none of us knew each other, none of us had been introduced to each other before, at least in person, but yeah, so I think I had an amazing experience because, whether, you're trying to figure out, hey, do you want to go to the store with me and check out something different? Or, hey, do you want to, plan a fall trip for a fall break? Do you want to go to a different country with me on your first week of meeting? Like, it's a crazy experience, but it really bonds you, I think, even for life. And I'm really excited to be able to bring that back to UMass. And I think I have already. And having that community back there, I am so incredibly grateful. And then next is London's is what I call, a salad bowl. So when I think of big cities like New York, I hear it referred to a lot as a melting pot. I think London was completely different from that because, instead of, assimilating into one big new culture and having that, that New York, style and culture, London had something a little bit different. So I think that every culture, every, ethnicity, nationality had their own highlight, whether that was in their food, their restaurants, their events, their community. I found so much in London that I had never expected, but they all were highlighted in their own way. They all stood out, they all had their own place, and they all, acknowledged and, were appreciative of each other, but I think they all had their own opportunity to stand out, which was awesome. I got to explore some of those restaurants and events myself. I personally loved that, getting to go and explore different things. CEA CAPA also held, some of the curry runs across different streets, so I got to try some awesome food as well. And then proximity to everything. I loved being close to everything in London. London is a big city, but you do have so much right there at your fingertips. I personally loved getting to explore London's football, culture. Here's me at my first and only Chelsea game, but we're going to change that soon. Okay. I absolutely loved getting to explore their football, soccer culture. I loved going to matches. I went to a few different ones, especially with CEA CAPA. They held some that we were able to go to. I had such an amazing experience getting to try new things. Getting to see, the royalty of London, what you hear about. I think as U.S. citizens, we're maybe a little too invested in royal ongoings in London, but I had an amazing time getting to know. And also, we also got stopped in front of the king one day because, his caravan was going through and we couldn't pass. It felt so official and scary, but awesome. Yeah, so I think being in London, we had such, the proximity and closeness to everything that we wanted to see, and I was very, very grateful for that. All right, CEA CAPA support system. So I think CEA CAPA really just kind of stood out from the rest. So here is me and my friends at our first excursion with CEA CAPA in Stonehenge, which was so awesome. I enjoyed getting to see it. I mean, it's kind of just some rocks, but they're cool rocks. Yeah. But yeah, I absolutely loved CEA CAPA. The first day we got there, they kind of welcomed us with the big pizza party, and it was so awesome. And then we were like, okay, we're ready for bed. But next day we got up, we had tours of London City Center, and as well as Kentish Town, which was really, really awesome because we lived in Kentish Town, and there were so many small, niche historical details I would never have known about if I hadn't, been with the tour guides, walking me through and showing me different things that I had never known about, and and how the greater area of London, was really impacted by different historical events as well. And next, I think they just packed in a lot with their tuition. So like I said, we had a bunch of excursions, like here in Stonehenge, but we also had different excursions to different cities, like Brighton as well, and then different local events, volunteering opportunities that were really, really fun that we got to do because of CEA CAPA. And then we're all free. We all just got to sign up if we wanted to go, and it was so much fun. And we also got to interact with different kids from, a lot of other institutions that came to the Study Center in London. So we got to interact with kids from Skidmore, other international students that I had a really good time getting to know. And honestly, we kept in contact outside of these excursions and got to see each other elsewhere. But it was super awesome. And then next, one of my favorite parts I think about this program is that we had program assistants. So the program assistants were there with us from day one. They were also recent UMass graduates. They were, there to check in with us, help us to make sure that we were good academically, socially, like we had it all together, like mentally, physically. If we needed help, they were there 24/7. So it was awesome. But yeah, so one thing I will say though, if different institutions are interested in the FYE program or another custom program, the program assistants will be different based on the program. So that's kind of depending on your relationship with CEA CAPA and how you decide to implement that. All right, and then academics with CEA CAPA. So I think with my classes that I had there in London, academic success and cultural engagement really went together really well. The courses I took were really thoughtfully designed and incorporated everything else that we saw around us. So whether it was different communities in London, different historical events, all of that was brought into our new courses and everything that we learned. So I got to incorporate all of that into papers, presentations, projects, which is really cool. My two favorite classes personally were my London Museums course and then my London as a Global City course. Those two classes actually allowed us to be out of the classroom over 50% of the time. We got to be out of the classroom exploring different museums, different boroughs of London, which was my favorite part because I got to interact with people like on site. I got to do interviews with people. I got to interact. I got to buy food, because that's very, very important to education, you guys. It's all up there. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. And with my museums class, actually, I had never taken an art class since like elementary school. So I was kind of nervous. Again, STEM background, didn't really know what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in this at all. I don't really like this. Like, I'm a little nervous. But I got there, and my professor, Sylvia, she was one of the most insightful people I think I've ever met. She was so driven to her background in museums. She, toured across the world, giving seminars, teaching other people how to run their museums in a way that was, efficient and functional for them. And it was so amazing to get to learn from her. And next, I had my London as Global City class, which was amazing because, again, got to go into those communities, got to interview people, got to talk to people, and I just learned so much about different communities that I would never have known were in London and had been in London for a very long time in their histories. And with that, I think it really inspired me, to just be confident in my own education and figure out what I really wanted. Going into UMass, I declared a political science major, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I want to do, but I'm not completely sure. But after that, I've decided to develop my own major in international business, which I'll get more into in a second. But I've had an amazing time getting to do that, and I really attribute a lot of that to what I learned from my courses at CEA CAPA and my professors. Next, all right. So a little global mindset. So again, I didn't know much about sustainability, especially abroad. I was really unfamiliar with it. And I mean, I got there and I noticed that, London and the UK and the EU all had, a little bit more of a step up from the US, but I wasn't really sure what that meant quite yet. So in my global climate scientist course, I was able to be introduced to so much more that I didn't know about, human impacts and human response to different global disasters. And, it was just an amazing experience that I never would have known about. And, getting to know about global emissions and how that contributes to everything was really interesting because I didn't know very much. And next, I think one of my favorite aspects of that class was getting to do a project where we kind of tracked our own sustainability and our own actions over 4 weeks and getting to experience like what we were doing to our earth. And that was so inspirational because what am I doing? I'm taking a plane, every other a week or so to go to a different country, but what is that doing? So I got to learn so much about that. But during that process, I think I learned a lot about how much I did love to walk and how much I did love to take public transportation for the most part. I think it was super interesting because I just didn't do that before, with the DC Metro, and I've gotten very familiar with it. I don't like it at all. It's not efficient, it's not fast, it's slow, it kind of sucks. And I get to Europe and there's like 2 to 5 minute waiting times. Like, what is this? I was so excited. I was like, you know what, I think I can do this now. But I think what I loved the most was being able to walk. I love a walkable city now. I loved walking to the grocery store. I love walking my 20 minutes to my favorite grocery store, carrying all my stuff back, and just really implementing that into every day, which was a lot of fun because, I had no idea before that what it would mean to me. But I really discovered that I love to walk, and I hope to return to a walkable city very, very soon. All right, and then now I just want to talk a little bit about first year abroad benefits in general. I think just for me and at least my cohort, we've noticed so much in ourselves that has changed, developed, and just gotten better over time within ourselves. So first, I would talk about independence. So independence, we have London at our fingertips. We have so much to explore, so many opportunities to just do what we want and find new things to love. And I definitely think I took advantage of that. Going to my soccer games. Going to a lot of other places that I hadn't been before. But I think that goes along with kind of budgeting because, again, you have so much to do, but can you do it? And so for me, that was something I had to deal with. I wanted to do stuff I already loved, which was awesome because I got to go to concerts. I love going to concerts, love going to jazz events, which is really fun. Got to do all of that. But I also discovered new things that I loved. I loved going to different royal gardens, different royal tours. Like that was so much fun for me, exploring the historical aspects of London. And next, I think another aspect of independence is kind of, time management. We're there to study, but we need to remember that we're there to study. We have all these events, all this stuff we want to do, but again, we have to, balance that out with what we're studying, writing our papers, creating our projects, presenting. I think it really was really different for me, and getting to learn that was really important because I think it's going to transfer over into my time at UMass and learning how I want to manage my time there. But yes. And then independence, just learning that opportunity cost. Like, what are you going to choose to do today? Like, I could go to a concert, but I could study for my next exam. Like, that's your kind of what you're up against. And then problem solving. Problem solving, especially the first few weeks in London, I was kind of freaking out. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do about my data plan? What am I going to do when I want to go somewhere? Like, I got to figure it out by myself. But CEA CAPA, of course, was there to help. I learned so much from, the staff at CEA CAPA showing us how to get to the study center, how to get to where we needed to go, especially in Kentish Town, pharmacies, supermarkets, stuff like that. So I was really excited to go there, but, having a support system and a community, whether that was peers, our peer advisors, staff back at UMass who are there, like assuring us, guiding us, and then the CEA CAPA staff, I felt really reassured. And, problem solving, it's just going to have to happen. If you lose a bag, if you lose a phone, it's just going to have to happen, and you'll figure it out. And next is communication. I think that kind of goes along with that. Going there, talking to CEA CAPA staff and them helping us along the way, it kind of reminded us that we have to have that aspect of self-advocacy, like 100%. If you're going to speak up, if you're going to talk to people, you have to advocate for yourself, because if you don't, who is? So I think with me, like whether it was, picking up a prescription, making an appointment with a doctor, like that's so important that you need to push that forward and make sure that you get what you need so that you're ready academically, mentally, and physically. I thought that was really important. But next, I think returning to campus, like I said, I'm so happy that I met the community that I did now at UMass, and now we're all back together. We see each other like in the hallways, walking up to each other. Hey, like I know that person, but it's also a close cohort that I know has helped me with my transition back to UMass, and we're all very close now. And further than that, I think just with all of my classes, I get to talk to my professors, my new peers, about the time that I had in London and what those experiences gave me, because not a lot of people have that experience, especially freshman year. I get to go into these other freshman year classes where people are like, whoa, like I didn't even know that was a thing, and I'm like, yeah, this is what I did, this is like the time I had, this is what I learned from it. I think I definitely gained a lot. And further than that, I think, again, I have decided to develop my own major in international business and policy with the bachelor's degree with individual concentration department, BDIC at UMass. I've had an amazing time getting to know the staff and the department, and just really working with them to develop my major, to develop my proposal, and I'm so happy that I got that opportunity. And now I'm excited to see where it takes me in the future. I'd love to go back to the UK for a master's degree. I'd love to go anywhere for a master's degree, so hit me up. All right, and then I just want to talk a little bit about my time at UMass as a CEA CAPA ambassador. I got to learn more about the SDLOs, as Louise talked about, the student learning development objectives. I was, I wasn't really familiar with them at first until I got back and I started as an ambassador, but I got to learn so much about them, and I'm like, hey, I think all of these applied to every single thing I did while I was abroad. So career and professional development, I got to explore new careers, I got to meet my professors, learn what they do, and then I decided to develop my own major around it. So there's that. And content and context, I think that's what we did all the time in our classes, incorporating what we learned outside and bringing that all into what we wanted then. So it was so much fun because, I got to learn stuff outside of class, and even stuff that wasn't, exactly in the curriculum. I got to bring it in because I learned it, I saw it, and I think it fits. Next, I think that critical thinking and intellectual curiosity was really encouraged by professors. We had 2-hour classes, so it gave us time to really engage in discussion and asking questions, and even debates. I think it was really cool that our professors allowed us to debate and engage in conversation and what we believed and what we thought, which is amazing. every day. You have to navigate differences every day, and it's so important. And I loved it because I think it just gave me a strength to just carry on and keep going. And I think I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing at UMass now because I love the life that I think studying abroad gave me my freshman year. I love my community. I love what I'm doing now with my education, and I hope that it will take me to the future exactly where I want to go. All right, now we're gonna open it up for questions, I believe.